What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good day. And yep, it's finally here, or basically here. The Formula One 2023 season is starting to come more and more official as we've had HAAS F1 drop their livery reveal for the 2023 Challenger car yesterday. Now, this is only a livery reveal. This wasn't a car reveal, as their livery was only posted on a 2022 Challenger car. And yeah, I really like the look of the red, black, and white. It's definitely a lot different from when they used to be red, black, and white back in 2018. And the main difference, beside all the design and artistic differences, is the main sponsor, which is no longer HAAS on the side pod. It is MoneyGram, both located on the side pod and the front nose of the car, as well as the front wing as well. Now, this isn't the first time that HAAS has had a major sponsor. You know, they had Rich Energy back in 2018, and that went to absolute shit when they dropped them halfway through the season. And they had Uralkali, Nikita Mazepin's father's company, which wasn't working well to begin with, as it came with so much controversy before, during, and after its Formula One existence. But now, I believe it's the first time that HAAS have really been the beneficiary of this signing, because it felt uncomfortable. I think HAAS was just really looking for money back in 2019 after a good 2018 stint, and same thing in 2021. They were just looking for some sort of funding by anybody, and Uralkali went to them. This is the first, I feel like, for me and the third person of the public eye, the first mutual cooperation between HAAS and a primary sponsor, and that being MoneyGram. It feels like both parties were very much into this, not just HAAS, not just HAAS in both 2018 and 2021 with Rich Energy, who again dipped on HAAS midway through the season, and then Uralkali, who had so much controversy coming into the season. But yeah, with the big money signing that is MoneyGram to the 2023 season, this means that HAAS can now work close to the cap cost of the Formula One budget that they have. This was something that HAAS have never achieved before in their Formula One operations as of yet. And obviously, being a very much sister company to Ferrari, as HAAS get all their Ferrari, all their engine parts and all the basic parts to the car from by Ferrari, HAAS can now continue to develop their car even further with additional spending, and this is spending that we don't know what's going to be used on. However, the ability to upgrade the car at a much more impactful and significant rate than before can be very beneficial, especially for a team looking to get back into the midfield fight. That could lead to a lot more commercial success and a lot more marketing prowess over the other teams. Again, HAAS never ever really worked to the heights of the salary cost cap because they never had a major sponsor, and when they did, it came with extreme controversy and diversion between the two, and or their major sponsor dipped on them, leaving them no money to work with. Now HAAS have a lot of money to work with, and like I said, it's been reported that they're working very high and close to the complete cost cap that they have to work with. Now, we don't know what the spending's going to be used on, but you could damn sure guarantee that HAAS are going to really want to upgrade this car, especially because with teams like McLaren saying they don't think they're going to make the most of inroads to their top teams because they're still waiting for their new and improved wind tunnel to go into operations, and that's, I think, reported to go into operations later this year and or possibly next year. So 2024 will be the main the real competition season for McLaren is what I'm hearing. Alpine could have a potential fall off with maybe teammate problems, as Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly are two more fierce drivers, and we've seen Ocon with teammates before. And with Alfa Romeo losing their main sponsor in Orlen, and going through the stages of the Audi purchase, the midfield is definitely, and also with Aston Martin as well, the midfield is definitely opened up for a new competitor, a new frontliner to compete with the upwards part of the midfield and maybe even contend for some podiums and take away some podiums from the front teams. And now this could be seen as Haas's opportunity because, in my opinion, they have their best chance yet because A, like I said, they're working high enough or as high as possible to the cost cap as ever before, and B, they have their, in my opinion, their best driver lineup yet. Now, noted, there are a lot of young potential talents coming through the Formula One ranks, the likes of a Logan Sargent, Oscar Piastri, Nick DeVries, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of young talent going through. However, I think it's ideal that this season it is known to Haas that is a very much recovery season sort of thing. Like, I think it's a start of of a big project at Haas, and I think this season is very key. So I think it's a very, very wise strategy to minimize the risks of maybe going with a too young team. For example, they've tried that in the past with Mick Schumacher and even Nikita Mazepin, and we saw how Mazepin worked out. Mick Schumacher was given his chance in Formula One, and he was a constant risk, ever growing, right? He had many hard crashes, in my opinion. Monaco was pretty bad. Japan of this past year is pretty bad. And although he showed a really, really good, promising stint going for 3 straight points finishes in the midway part of the season, I believe Austria, Great Britain, and France or Hungary, I can't remember which one, Mick was a big part of the budget in the wrong way, as his crashing really, I think it amounted to like $15 million being spent on just the repairs for the car, which is quite crazy. And yeah, so I think it's a really, really good strategy to go with 2 more, or they've had Kevin Magnussen since last year, but to pair him up with a very, very solid driver, although out of Formula One for a while, that being Nico Hülkenberg, I think it's a very risk-adverse strategy and one that could really elevate Haas's chances into having an even greater season this year than if they would have kept a younger driver next with Magnussen. I feel like going with a more experienced option to make Haas a more attractive team in the future is a better strategy than just chucking some rookie or some young driver in now with the ever great task of, rediscovering Haas's form from maybe 2018 and getting that type of results back is a bit of a hard task. So going with a more experienced lineup, in my opinion, is a very, very good idea. And it'll be very fun seeing the combination of Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg in the future, because as we know, they had that off-track excursion back in, I believe, Silverstone 2018 or 19, where Nico famously said, "Suck my balls, mate." Kevin Magnussen said that to Nico Hülkenberg after him not giving the space or the respect to Nico Hülkenberg on track. It's been reported that they recently laughed these moments off and are working very hard together at discovering a very positive relationship as teammates and friends in Haas. Now, that's all great for Haas, but I feel like this is a big season for the FIA and Formula One in general, and a lot of that is critical on the performance of Haas, and here's why. The cost cap structure of Formula One was mainly built to even the playing field, for lack of better terms, of Formula One, right? It was meant to stop the then dominations of big spending teams like Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, and give lower earning teams a chance of the odd podium here or there, or just really inconsistent results throughout big teams, right? You'd see hopefully a Haas in P3 one time, maybe a Alpine in P1, and the bigger teams struggling because of how competitive the Formula One grid is now. However, this past year, it didn't really work out in that sense. We saw Red Bull dominate, Ferrari look really good at some points and then fall off. Mercedes, even though had a pretty bad season, still finished P3 and still looked pretty good toward the end of the season. with then your midfield standard of McLaren and Alpine, and then the lower end of the table with your Williams and AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo, for example. So in that sense, the cost cap didn't really work last year. However, with Haas's new, sponsor partner and the effect of them operating towards the cost cap budget, this is a very critical season for them, for Formula One in general, because this could work. Haas could steal maybe a podium from, say, Red Bull, who's had that penalty imposed on them for going over the cost cap in 2021. And I believe they got less wind tunnel time, which is going to impact them about 0.2, I believe Christian Horner said. Them being able to steal a podium from Mercedes, who had a very down year this past season to their standards, and they might not recuperate the pace needed to contend for the top spots again. This was only done once last season in Imola by Lando Norris. Every single podium after that was occupied by a Red Bull, Mercedes, or Ferrari. So Haas, again, with strategic partners in Ferrari and operating towards the cost cap, they have a real chance to show that these F1 cost caps are working. And I think Ross Brawn has recently said, if this doesn't work and Haas continue to struggle, then they're going to look at even changing the rules a lot more for the 2024 season. There was some rule changes in the 2023 season. However, they were very minor. I think the front wing rules were changed a little bit, and I think the suspension and aerodynamic and floor regulations were changed slightly, but no major requirements, no major regulation changes. If things continue to be dominant for the top three teams this upcoming season, then we're going to see a lot more major regulation changes for the 2024 season. So it's highly critical that Haas do well to prove to Formula One that these changes are working. And Haas doing well could also be a motivating factor for other teams like Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo down the pecking order as of right now, but with potential to be higher up the grid, because you have Lawrence Stroll and his deep pockets at Aston Martin, and also the starting procedures of the Audi takeover at Alfa Romeo. We could see a whole big midfield shift to where the whole playing field and grid of Formula One is compromised in a good way, so that there's inconsistencies in podium finishes, first places, etc., where the top three teams aren't necessarily dominating to the extent that they are right now. So yeah, with the whole thing of Haas operating toward a cost cap, which I've said a lot, their new driver lineup, which I believe is a really, really good idea to go with a more experienced lineup and optimize the potential points finishes this year, and with the FIA pressure that they have off of Haas's performance, I think this is a really big season for Haas for the reasons I just said, because if they don't perform, it looks bad for not only Haas and their major sponsors MoneyGram, but also for Formula One in general, as they'll see what they thought would work and what they thought would even out the playing field might not be doing the job that they once thought would work. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this video. Let me know on your thoughts about the Haas livery reveal and their expectations in Formula One this season in general. Do you believe they could snag an odd podium off of the hands of a Red Bull, Ferrari, or Mercedes? I know with the recent seasons that's went on, you maybe think that's not possible, but just imagine a Haas with Ferrari parts working near the cost cap, with two better, a better and more developed and more familiar to the new car, Kevin Magnussen, with a now more experienced Nico Hülkenberg, and a driver at that who is deserving of a podium and has proved many times of how good a driver he is and how hungry he is for that podium in this Haas. Let me know your expectations of Haas based on those things. But yeah, hopefully you guys are excited for the Formula One season as much as myself, and I'll be sure to discuss the upcoming Red Bull launch as well as the other car launches as well. Take care and have a good day, everybody.